Now let's take a look at how to create a text favorite to be used for survey mapping. In this example, I have opened up a DGN library for survey text favorites, and I have referenced in a previously mapped survey file. Now I've left the annotation on here because we're going to reproduce this text favorite that makes this label, but I want to show you the process that it is involved. So in the master DGN lib, I have created a new text favorite called Survey Topo Point Label, and I have set my text style, which will set my font and justification, etc. And now I want to begin to build this label, but we're going to show you a different way to access the properties. As you learned earlier, you can always come in to set your field type and your field subtype and pick your properties, but in some instances, you can do this in a little bit more streamlined fashion. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my first prefix for point number. And then instead of going down here and navigating, I'm just going to choose to select element, and then I'm going to pick my survey shot. And in here, you will see you have access to your point name. And so when I select that, it navigates us to that location in our selection. And then I'm going to turn on my save preview here and accept. So that's the first one. And then we can continue this process. So the next one is for our field code. So we'll type in our field code prefix, and then I will go to select element again and hit my shot there and select my field code property. It navigates me to that section, and I'm going to accept that. Next is our northing. So we'll put in our northing prefix, select our element, select our shot, and then we'll pick our northing property. And so you'll see it takes us down to northing, and you can make adjustments here. Let's say, for example, you want it to be 3 decimal places, and for the labeling format, you may only want to show master units, and maybe you want a comma separator for your thousands. So we'll accept that. So there's our northing example, and then in our easting, we'll select our element again. Whoops, let's put in our prefix first. So we'll say easting, and then we'll select our survey shot again. And we'll select our easting field. And again, you can set your properties the way you want those. And we'll accept our easting. And then lastly is our elevation. We'll select element. And we will grab our elevation property. And again, we'll set those. So let's say, for example, we want 2 master units or 2 decimal places of accuracy and read out our master units. And we'll put a comma in for 1,000 separator. And just to show you, we would save obviously those changes, but depending on what you select, you'll get different properties to pick. So if I select this survey chain, I'm going to have some different information in there. You will see what field book, for example, it came from. The zone is in there. And if you had attributes, those will be showing up. And so you'll have the different information that you can select. Now you can certainly still come over here and manually navigate to those properties, but a lot of times you may find that it's easier just to select something that's already been mapped and then select the properties that you want to build your label. The last thing I want to point out here is this text favorite is designated for a survey point feature definition. That is different than a geometry point feature definition. Those would need to be different text favorites. A survey point feature is not the same thing as a geometry point feature. And so if you wanted to set up a text favorite to label a geometry point feature, you would need to follow the same process, but instead of selecting a survey point feature, you would pick a mapped geometry point feature and select the properties there. So just understand that the properties of a text favorite for survey point feature or for linear feature are different than those for proposed geometry point or linear features.